Holy warriors are so overrated. In many stories, you'll find regular girls who can transform into much more powerful and more magical form. These are commonly called magical girls, and they are very powerful and are highly capable spellcasters, as well as battlers while in their magical girl forms. Magical girls are half spellcasters with access to a unique ability called their magical girl form, which allows them to be stronger in melee and increase in magical ability. In addition to this, magical girls also gain what are called magicka, which allow them to gain traits from a chosen element, which gives them further and further abilities into those elements as they level up. Hello and welcome to the Magical Girl video. So let's just get right into this. Quick build. You want to make a magical girl quickly. You want to follow these suggestions. First, you want to make your charisma your highest ability score, as that is going to be your spell casting. Then you want to follow this up with either wisdom or constitution, depending on the kind of character you are wishing to make, and you can choose noble or folk hero background. Your proficiencies you get are light and medium armor, simple weapons, short swords, and improvised weapons. No tools. Your saving throws you get are charisma, and then your choice in constitution or wisdom, which I thought was a fun way to do this. And getting to choose your strong save, because every single class, if you think about it, it gets a strong save and a weak save. The strong saves being dex, con, and wisdom. Weak saves are strength, intelligence, and charisma. So every single class has one strong and one weak saving throw. Besides monk at later levels, they just get all of them. Monks, man. People hate them because some of their subclasses are weird, but they get some pretty cool stuff. Anyway, then in skills, you get to choose any 3 skills. Your starting equipment you get to choose is light armor and a shield, or medium armor. It's your first option. Your second option is a short sword or any simple weapon. And then your third option is a piece of arcane jewelry. And arcane jewelry is pretty much your spell casting focus. Then we're going to hop down to your hit points. Magical girls use a D10, like the other 2 half-casters in the game, Paladin and Ranger. They get D10s. So do magical girls. They get a D10. Now, before we get too much into this is some good lighting and all, but I mean, this is magical girls after all. We need to make things fun. So let's make things fun. I got color changing lights. Why is it so red? Why is it all red? It'll change. This is the most fitting for magical girls after all, this kind of lighting. I'm going to try to have fun with some lighting. Now that we have our new light up after the last video. I have now special light bulbs in which I can change the colors of. As you see, they're changing colors right now. But let's go ahead and get right into this. Level 1. Magical Girl Form and Magicka Apprentice. Starting at first level, you gain access to what is known as your Magical Girl Form. As a bonus action on your turn, you may enter into your Magical Girl Form. Your Magical Girl Form has a different appearance than you normally do. These can range from glowing parts of your body, your clothes changing and having more flowing parts, or even some sort of superhero suit. These can vary in any ways. Essentially, it's just a, very anime style magical girl form, like in the Art of the Magical Girl, which is going to be probably in the corner for most of this video. I don't know which corner, it'll be in a corner. Like in that, you see the top half has them in their regular outfit, and the bottom half is in their magical girl outfit. It's a little bit of a change. So it just shows like an example of what a magical girl in their transformation form would look like compared to their normal. Your magical girl form lasts for 1 minute, and you gain the following benefits while you're in your magical girl form. You have a limited number of uses of your magical girl forms. These uses are determined by your level, and it scales a little slower than your proficiency. You can start off with 2, you gain a 3rd at 5th, you gain a 4th at 10th level, you gain a 5th one at 15th level, and then once you hit 20th level, you can enter it an endless amount of times. So, the benefits you get while you're in your magical girl form All melee attack rolls you make may replace either your strength or dexterity of the weapon with your charisma instead. So that way you don't have to invest in strength or dex as a magical girl, you can invest just in charisma and you're using that for your attacks. When you deal damage with a melee weapon, you may add your magical girl level to the damage of the attack only once per turn. Your movement speed is increased by 10 feet. Your armor class is increased by your total magical girl form uses as you're leveling up. So at level 1 is increased by +2, then +3, +4, +5. At 20th level, it increases by 6 instead of, plus infinity or plus endless, because that's just you don't get hit. But instead, it has a really high AC. The point is, you don't get hit. You are very quick at moving when you're in this empowered form, and your whole point is you don't want to get hit. And in addition, your last bonus you get is you gain resistance to force damage. All of this you get while you're magical girl form, and it ends when the magical girl form ends. So either after a minute, or if you get knocked unconscious, you drop your form. Also at level 1 is Magicka Apprentice. Starting at first level, you learn the secrets of the elements of the planes around you, allowing you to choose elements and gain unique abilities depending on the element you choose, and have these elements evolve into further elements. To start, you can only choose one of the following elements. Once you've chosen your element, you cannot change it. You gain one of the following traits while in your magical girl form. So you gain these traits for your Magicka Apprentice. Affect your magical girl form. Just gonna say all these. They all affect that form. But let's go ahead and get into them. First, we have air. You gain, if you choose air while in your magical girl form, I'll just say that now. It applies to all of them. You gain resistance to slashing damage, and your movement speed increases by 10 feet. If you choose Earth, the next one is Earth. If you choose Earth, you gain resistance to bludgeoning damage, and you become unaffected by difficult terrain. Next is Fire. If you choose Fire, you gain resistance to fire damage, and you may add 1d6 fire damage to all melee attack rolls you make while in your magical girl form. The next one is Light. You gain resistance to radiant damage, and you gain 60 feet of dark vision. If you already had dark vision, then your dark vision increases by an additional 60 feet. Next one is Shadow. You gain resistance to necrotic damage, and you gain access to the Eldritch Blast cantrip. And then the last one you get at level 1 is Water. You gain resistance to cold damage, and your swimming speed equals your walking speed, and you gain access to the Control Water cantrip. So each is a little thematic thing depending on the, main 6 elements in this case, the, main 4 avatar style: air, earth, fire, water. Then you also get light and shadow, which is based on the other planes of existence around the material plane. The shadow fell in the Feywild. Though that would be really more chaos and shadow, but I decided to go for light and shadow. Level 2, magical archetype and spellcasting. Your magical archetype is your subclass for magical girls. You gain additional additional traits for your magical girl subclass at 2nd, that's the first one, 7th, 12th, and 18th level in this class. And then we go on to spellcasting. Like I said before, magical girls are half-casters, and they use charisma. Magical girls, they prepare their list of spells every morning. So every morning you get to choose what spells you want to use for the day, and it works just like wizards and clerics and paladins and druids. Works just like them. All right, level 3, it's red again. Okay, it's changing. Regalia Empowerment. Starting at 3rd level, you gain more power from your arcane jewelry. While you have your arcane jewelry on your person, you gain advantage on intelligence, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. In addition, if you ever lose your arcane jewelry, you may spend 1 hour meditating to summon your jewelry back to your person. So it's a way to gain it again if you lose it, instead of having to buy a new one if you lose it, if you lose it. But if it's broken, you still have to buy a new one because it's broken. Then on to level 4, ability score improvement. Everyone knows how that works. Level 5, extra attack. Just like every martial. Fighter, paladin, barbarian, monk, they all get extra attack. This is the same. You get extra attack. You don't get multiple, though. You only get the 1 extra attack. You don't get any more for the rest of your magical girl levels. At level 6, you get nothing. At level 7, you get a magical archetype feature. At level 8, you get an ability score improvement. Then at level 9, Magicka Adept. Starting at 9th level, your knowledge of your chosen element has expanded further and now branches off into new sub-elements. You must meet the prerequisite of the new chosen element. You still gain the traits of your prior as well. So if you chose water, you still have access to your water as well as this new one you're choosing that varies off of this. So let's get into this. There's quite a few, and each one has a prerequisite that you have to have met. So essentially, it's just there's only one for each other one. So essentially, you get an upgraded version, but you have to have that previous one to get this. So first off is blood. The prerequisite for this one is shadow. Your resistance becomes an immunity. In addition, you may cast the hold person spell twice without expending a spell slot, and you regain all spent uses after finishing a long rest. That is your blood element. Next is the ice element, which needs the prerequisite of water. You gain immunity to cold damage, and you can cast the ice knife spell once without expending a spell slot. You can cast it this way once and regain that use after finishing a long rest. Next up is lava, which is you need fire to get this. You gain immunity to fire damage. In addition, you may cast Scorching Ray once without expending a spell slot, and you regain the use of this after finishing a long rest. Next one after that is metal, which you need earth in order to get this one. It changes your resistance for piercing to immunity to piercing. You can also cast heat metal without expending a spell slot. Same thing, recover after finishing a long rest. Next is the psychic, which is the prerequisite you need for this, is light. You gain resistance to psychic damage. So instead of getting immunity, it changes just to resistance, but it's in a different type. So you have resistance in 2 types of this one with radiant and psychic. And you also gain access to the vicious mockery cantrip. And the last one is tempest, which is the prerequisite of air. You gain resistance to lightning damage. In addition, you gain a flying speed of 30 feet. That is your Magicka Adept. Remember, this is 9th level, you get this. After this is 10th level, level 10, Flashy Transformation. Starting at 10th level, when you enter into your magical girl form, you may cast the spell Charm Person during the same time as you're entering your magical girl form, but you do not need to hold concentration for the spell when you cast it in this way. So essentially, it's as you're doing your magical transformation as a bonus action, you can also use the effects of the Charm Person spell against someone within the range of it. And you don't have concentration on it, which is real nice. A level 11 is nothing. A level 12 is an ability score improvement and a magical archetype feature. Level 13 is again nothing. Then at level 14 is the Cosmic Elements. This is a different line. You don't have to have any prerequisites for this one. These are all unique things. Starting at 14th level, you gain access to Cosmic Magicka Elements, and you may choose one of the following that will take effect during your magical girl form. Space, which is you are able to cast the Misty Step spell as many times as you wish while in your magical girl form. There's time. You're able to cast the Backwarp spell as many times as you want. Backwarp is a spell that is in this book. It moves some things. It depends on as you're casting it up. It's cast at first level when using it this way, which means there's not too much, but it moves some things back in time 1 minute. In this life, you're able to cast the Healing Word spell at first level as many times as you wish while in your magical girl form. This is all while in magical girl form again, remember that. And then death, you're able to cast the Arcane Bolt spell, which is another spell that's in this book. It is essentially it's a first level, and the way it works is similar in a way to Disintegrate. It does a lot of damage, but it's a roll to hit, and if you miss, you take damage instead. So it's a risky spell. You don't take as much. You take half the damage the spell would do, but it's a big risk. But it's a powerful first level spell. That's why there's a kind of risk in it there. Then at level 15, Charm and Hex. Starting at 15th level, when you enter your magical girl form and use your Flashy Transformation feature, which was your level 10 feature, you may choose to replace the Charm Person casting with a casting of the Hex spell. When casting this way, it does not require concentration. So essentially, is when you're doing it, you can choose to either hex someone or you can choose to Charm Person someone. Really depends. If you're fighting one big enemy, probably want to just hex them. If you're fighting a bunch of humanoids, charm person on one of them and start mixing things up in the fight. It's really your choice depending on what's happening in the when the fight starts. At level 16, you get your last Magicka upgrade. So, starting at 16th level, your knowledge of your chosen element has expanded further and now branches off into new sub-elements. You must meet the prerequisite of the new chosen element. You still gain the traits of your prior elements from your Magicka Novice feature. So let's get right into this. Yet again, each one there's only one for each element that priorly exists. Crystal. This needs the prerequisite of metal and earth. You gain immunity to force damage, and you may cast Armor of Agathis at 3rd level without expending a spell slot. You may only do this once, and you regain that after finishing a long rest. Then there's Explosion, which is lava and fire. You gain access to the Fireball spell, and you may cast it twice without expending a spell slot. You gain both uses after finishing a long rest. Then there is Poison, which needs ice and water, which gives you resistance to poison damage. In addition, you learn the Ray of Sickness spell, and you can cast it twice without expending a spell slot. You gain it after a long rest. Then there is Soul, which needs Psychic and Light. You are able to sense the presence of souls within 30 feet of you, and you can see all invisible creatures while in your magical girl form. So it's a much more minor one. Then there's Sound, which needs Tempest and Air. You gain resistance to thunder damage, and you can cast Shatter. You can cast the Shatter spell twice without expending a spell slot. And then the last one is Undeath, which needs Blood and Shadow. With this one, you're able to cast the Raise Dead spell once without expending a spell slot, and you may cast it this way as an action. And you may cast the spell as an action only once, and you regain this use after finishing a long rest. Then, on to level 17, Nothing. Level 18, Magical Archer type feature. Level 19, Ability score improvement. Then level 20, the penultimate means second to last. And level 20, the capstone level for Magical Girl. You get the Master Magical Girl feature. Starting at 20th level, you gain an unlimited number of your Magical Girl transformations, as stated at the very beginning. In addition, your Magical Girl form increases in power drastically, and you gain the following traits while in your Magical Girl form, in addition to your previous traits from entering your Magical Girl form. You gain a flying speed of 30 feet. If you already have a flying speed, you gain an additional 30 feet of flying speed. So if you chose air, you get more flying speed. Your movement speed increases by 20 feet instead of 10 feet. You land a critical hit on rolls of a 19 to 20 instead of just a 20. And you may add 2d6 to each melee attack roll you make. The damage type of this is the damage resistance you gain from your Magicka Apprentice feature. Now, there are, yet again, I'm not going to go into depths about the subclasses in this. Okay, so the subclasses you get, I'm not going to go into detail about each of the features, but I'll go briefly over each one. There are 6 at the moment. The first one is the Arcane Blaster, which gives you a magical firearm, and you can use points to increase the ability to empower the firearm bullets as you are firing them out. There is the Blade Maiden, which allows you to do very magical girls, sword flourishes, energy beams. It's just very anime right there. Then there's the Chaos Mage, which is a raw magic based magical girl, as well as with a chaos form. Whenever they enter the magical girl form, something random happens. Then there's the Dark Magician, which uses dark and corrupting effects as well as black magic to put a twist on regular magical girl trope. Then there is the Golden Tactician, which is probably the more unique ones. They get golden threads to create weapons out of, and they have a lot of interesting, tactics with messing with things. Essentially, imagine this kind of like the Battle Master Fighter. They have these interesting little tactics to mess around with the battlefield. Then the last one is the Ranger, which specifies in using ranged weapons, and designated range weapon, and similar to the Arcane Blaster, the firearm first subclass. This one is similar but has different effects with its ranged weapons. Can do similar stuff but has different things. So that's it for the Magical Girl. Um, there wasn't really too terrible to talk about. Yet again, I said in the last video, this one was recently reworked. And so that's most of the rework was this is originally a full caster class, but I changed it to a half caster, added in a lot more martial stuff to it, and a lot more flavor with the Magicka stuff. But it is, in my opinion, much more of a thematic class rather than just, based on being entirely super powerful. While it is powerful, gaining flight and, transformations, which allow them to do a lot of fun stuff, it's also very thematic. And it doesn't have to, like I said with the description of the Magical Girl transformation, they are not bound to just being a magical girl. They can literally be a superhero. This is just the name of the class. They can be some sort of hero and have their transformation be them switching into their superhero outfit. But anyway, with that, that's going to bring us to the end of the Magical Girl video. Actually, now that we're done talking about the Magical Girl, let's go ahead and just took a second. Change the lights back to normal. So, that was the Magical Girl. Still recently upgraded, so any input is great input. I will take any input and see what I can do with it. The next class in this video list is the Rune Carver, which is a very unique and I guess you can, if you classify D&D classes into full caster, half caster, martial, and special, they fall into the special category. So this next video will be an interesting one. It won't be the next video out, it's just going to be the next video in this series. I hope you understand. We don't have the art for it yet, and I want to wait for the art for it, as well as I want to go back to doing a bunch of races. I'm going to start taking off 2 races in a row, 2 races per video, and just get through those races, especially the new ones I'm adding at the moment. In addition, I am currently thinking about starting a new series, not exactly talking about homebrew or making. This series is just, I'm currently thinking about calling it Tales of the Jericho, but it's pretty much going to be D&D story time. We're going to talk about, possibly with some of the other players of the campaign over a Discord call, we're going to talk about the D&D campaign we're playing through. We're right near the end of it, so we're going to start from the beginning, and we're going to start working our way through the campaign as things happen to the best of our memory. Just, if we do this, just warning you now, this is an absolutely insane campaign we're playing through. It's a lot. There's so much going on. We're right near the end. Everything's kind of starting to wrap itself together somewhat, but things are going crazy. But with that, I'm going to be signing off for now, and we'll see what the next video brings. It'll probably most likely be races. Either start working down the list of a bunch of races in the book, or it might even be in episode 0 of Tales of the Jericho, which see that back there? There it is. See that back there? That's the crew. We're gonna get to it. But until then, I'm not good at outros. Have a good one. I don't know how outros work. Outros make no sense.